Al, it is time once again to talk about a video game series that you very much enjoy. Wait, hang on,
Yes.
hang on. What's that? I'm hearing that we've talked about the good games from this series already.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh. That might
Uh-oh.
be a problem.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc, Al, and Lady.
Hello.
This is episode 399. It's a big number.
It's a big number.
Of course, to celebrate episode 399, we're going to talk about Shadow Hearts from the New World.
Mm-hmm.
I hear this is Alice's favorite Shadow Hearts game. She's like, man, every character from the first two games, get them out of here. Don't need them. Bring in Johnny Garland in his cool jacket.
I mean, the jacket's not bad, but I don't know about the rest of what you said.
Oh, boy, yeah. So, you played this game, I'm assuming, at launch, probably.
I played it at launch.
Of course, this game came out in the North Americas on March 7th, 2006. It was released in Japan on July 28th, 2005. And it was the third Shadow Hearts game, but don't call it Shadow Hearts 3 because it's not Shadow Hearts 3. It is just Shadow Hearts from the New World. They did not put a 3 on this title at all, unlike what they did with Shadow Hearts Covenant, which was Shadow Hearts 2 in Japan and all that sort of stuff. So this is just a spin-off in the same universe, but without any of the characters that you know, except for like one or two, maybe.
Lenny.
Yeah.
And
Good old Roger Bacon.
Roger Bacon. Joaquin is technically here too.
I don't know if I ever saw him.
He's in his bat form.
Oh, well, I probably didn't see him then.
There was something else I was gonna say. I guess technically this would be the fourth game in the series.
Yeah, I guess if you count Kodelka, but in the
But
Shadow Hearts proper series, this is
correct.
the third game.
Yeah, I guess.
But not really the third game.
Not really the third. I think if you would I don't know. The only crossovers really are like Roger Bacon and the Immigrant manuscript.
And Shania can do the transformations and all that.
Uh-huh.
Malice is here, is a big
Uh-huh.
thing again. That's kind of the only real extensions of this being connected to the other games, and also that it's it takes place a little bit further into the future than 1 and 2 did, where this is 1929, it's post World War I and everything. We're in the midst of Prohibition and the good old US of A, because Johnny Garland's a New Yorker and you don't mess with New Yorkers.
New Yorker. I can't say a New York accident.
He's
Accident?
walking here.
Accent, not accident.
New York accident. Oh no.
Oh no.
Let's talk about the development of this game. From the New World was developed by Nautilus, formerly known as Sacknoth, which is, I think, the company that they were when they were originally making Shadow Hearts. Featuring the same production team that created Shadow Hearts in a sequel. The game was produced and directed by Takamusa Osawa, who previously served as art director for Covenant. The characters were designed by series artist Miyako Kato. The lead game designer was Takahiro Ishida, and the scenario was written by Toshiyuki Suzuki, with the story concept being provided by former director and scenario writer Matsuzo Machida. The game's production was completed on an extremely tight schedule, presenting challenges to different team members caused by this. It was also stated that the production had a more controlled system compared to the previous two titles, leading to a tonal shift from the series' earlier darker tone. The director was also replaced midway through production, and by March 2005, the game was 60% complete. And of course, if you remember, going back up here, it came out in July. So that's you had to get 40% of this game together in April, May, June, 4 months.
Game production was wild back then.
Yeah. While previous Shadow Hearts titles were based on the Eurasian continent, From the New World moved to the Americas, giving the developers a fresh start. The new setting and characters allowed the team to create a beginner-friendly narrative which would attract a larger audience, with the story being a spin-off only loosely connected to the events of Shadow Hearts and Covenant. Rather than portraying a grand mythology, the narrative focused on individuals within the struggle created with the Shadow Hearts series. Despite its spin-off status, the team treated Johnny with the gravity of a mainline Shadow Hearts protagonist. I don't think that's true at all.
No, I don't either.
While the series continued to use real locations, the team did not want to be too realistic, so added in anachronistic locations. Ishida, who had worked on the series since Covenant, was in charge of the battle system. It was based on the system using Covenant, although new elements such as the stock gauge were added to increase strategy. The battle system expansions, which included the ability for enemies to use combo attacks, were also done based on a combination of staff wishes and fan feedback. Kato designed all the characters, with some going through notable redesigns. One was Natan, whose early character design was far leaner than his final appearance. For Shania's fusion form, she was given the direction to make them appear like goddesses rather than monsters, and also to make sure her boobas and butt were out the whole time.
Every single time. I mean, to be fair, like Yuri also had his butt out a lot.
Yeah, but they basically make you go through her magical girl
Oh
transformation
yeah,
where she
every
gets
time.
naked and is like, "Here I am," blah.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The game used a modified version of the Covenant engine. More detailed character expressions were incorporated and load times were decreased. Unlike Covenant, From the New World used only one PlayStation 2 DVD, which caused problems with data storage. The CGI cutscenes were created by computer graphics studio Avant, with motion capture being handled by Dynapix. Avant had previously created the CGI cutscenes for Covenant. Many of the motion capture actors had previously worked on Covenant. The real-time cutscenes were made more cinematic, with more attention paid to camera angles and character movement. Despite the change to a lighter atmosphere, monster designs continued to draw inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, and influence reaching back to the first Shadow Hearts. And then they also just put him into the game.
Yeah, there's that too.
So, here's a little bit about the music. Yoshitaka Hirota, composer for the previous two Shadow Hearts games, returned for From the New World. Hirota was joined by Ryo Fukuda, who collaborated on the first Shadow Hearts, and Tomoko Imoto and Hirotomi Imoto. One of the Imotos also acted as a sound director. For the music, I mean, they have the same last name, so...
No, you're right. I just like that they didn't clarify which one.
Yeah. For the music, Hirota researched Native American music and made heavy use of vocals and ethnic music, fusing ancient instruments with electronic elements. The series theme, Ikaro, was reprised in an arranged form. Choral work was led by Akiko Shikata. The main theme, Spread My Wings, was composed by Hirota and was performed and written by Takahara Tomoaki from the indie funk band Taste of Chocolate. That sure was an interesting credit song for sure. And then it was announced by publisher Aruze in March 2005, with the first trailer being included in the Director's Cut edition of Covenant. I don't know. Do you know what the difference between that and the regular version is?
I think the director's cut was overseas only, like a re-release in Japan. I think.
Okay. They put out merch. Shockingly.
Whoa.
While previous Shadow Hearts games were localized by Midway, From the New World was licensed for a North American release by Xseed Games. At the time, Xseed was a fairly new company, and From the New World was one of its earliest major localizations, having successfully secured Western rights alongside Wild Arms 4. As with the previous two Shadow Hearts games, the localization was handled by Jeremy Blostein. Blostein was brought on board the project by Xseed. The voice acting was an important element for the English release, who cast actors based on the regional accents of characters. According to a later interview, Xseed were under pressure due to most of their resources being tied up with Wild Arms 4, and while they were impressed by the English dub, the written script had a number of issues and needed to be proofed and edited for consistency. And then the game came out in various regions.
Yep.
This game got a 72 out of 100 on the Metacritic. Its debut week, it reached third place in sales charts, reaching nearly 52,000 units. I don't know if that's in Japan or that is in Japan.
I would assume that's Japan.
By the end of the year, the game had sold over 82,000 units. Despite the general low sales for their game business division, Aruze credited the release of From the New World with that division showing a profit for that year. Speaking in 2020, Xseed Games parent company CEO Ken Berry noted that the market demand for From the New World in the West was sufficient alongside that for Wild Arms 4 to keep Xseed Games going.
That's wild.
That is wild. Yeah. And then speaking in a later interview, Machida said that From the New World was not the true Shadow Hearts 3, which would have continued the story of original protagonist Yuri Hyuga. His plan had been for Shadow Hearts 3 to follow Jinpachiro Hyuga. And
that's Ben.
That is old Ben Hyuga.
Mm-hmm.
and Kiheta Inogami, the respective fathers of Yuri and Covenant character Kuronado Inogami.
Have you
Oh,
seen the art for them?
I don't know if I have or not.
It's so good.
Ultimately, From the New World was the last Shadow Hearts 2 title to be released. Nautilus was absorbed into Arise in 2007 and ended video game production, ultimately ceasing to exist during corporate restructuring in 2009. Machida was approached 3 times about developing a new Shadow Hearts, but each time the project was canceled due to the company's circumstances. And of course, Machida, Kato, and Hirota later came together to work on Penny Blood, a spiritual successor to the Shadow Hearts series, which is still not out.
It's coming out next year,
Yes.
supposedly. That's been
Where'd you send me these?
Zoom.
Okay.
I'm still working on
That is a popped collar.
you know what? It's a good ass look.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they make him look a bit more like Yuri.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom is the other art.
These already look like better character designs than what we get in From the New World.
Right? Aren't they incredible?
So I don't know if it's really saying much.
No, but I mean like I really, really like that.
So, Shadow Hearts From the New World.
It sure is a video game.
It
Of all the
sure
video
is.
games, it sure is one of
It
them.
is one of them. I'm sure when we talked about the previous 2 games, you had made mention of this game at some point, but
Probably.
you are not a fan of this game.
No.
Especially coming off of the first 2 games, it is not the same thing in a variety of ways, obviously.
And I mean
Uh,
I've mentioned a few times like Shadow Hearts and Shadow Hearts Covenants are probably like Covenant are probably in like my top 10 video games of all time. Um, I think that both of those games are brilliant. I do include them as one game though, because like I feel like you have to. Having both games tells a complete story.
mhm.
But like they're brilliant. The way that they have like the alternate history, they have like the like Lovecraftian stuff in there. Um, they're pretty dark, but they do have like some humor moments in there, but it's not like over the top. Like you have to have some brevity because it's pretty intense. Um, but it's not like super jokey, haha, gross stuff all the time. It fits. I mean, it's a really nice world.
And I think the stuff they do with like the alternate history stuff is a lot of fun
It's a
within these
lot of
games.
fun. It's a lot of fun. I mean, like, I love that they have like these like alternate explanations for why things went down. Like, you have the whole thing with Rasputin and Covenant. That's so fun.
The complete just ending of the first game
World War I started.
is just very good and funny, and I don't think they really do a whole lot with it in this game in particular. It's just kind of like
Mm-mm.
we set it in this era, but really didn't do a whole lot with it.
Right. Like I feel like there were a lot of opportunities where they could have worked in some really cool stuff, especially because it's like 1920s, 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like 1929, I think.
Like there's so much that could have been done here in terms of like events and locations and like cool stuff like that. And it just kind of like whiffed, which I mean, it may be a situation of like they're not as familiar with American history, which like I would be the same way if I was trying to make a game about like Japanese history. That'd be like, I know a general era, I could throw it in, but like I wouldn't know specific events. So it may be a situation of like that, but I could be just making assumptions.
Yeah. Uh,
But it a lot could have been done here and it wasn't.
I think as well, like the characters in this game aren't as strong as the previous two games as well. Like Johnny feels like an afterthought throughout most of this game, and then like there's a twist later on that tries to make him relevant again, and just I don't think it falls flat. Shania is basically the actual protagonist of the game, and most of it is just her being like, "Grr, I'm angry. Look at me transform. Look at my booba and butt."
Look my butt.
Natan just exists.
He exists. He's pretty cardboard.
Frank is your comedic relief.
Yeah, he's like your Joaquin character
Because he's a he's a ninja
from
he,
Brazil.
He learned ninjutsu in Brazil.
Oh, okay.
That's where all the big ninjas go to learn ninjutsu. Brazil.
Brazil.
Mal's a big cat.
Yes.
You can. So the Mal stuff is actually fun because like you can take her to Paramount Pictures and have her fight against people. But they started off with like the best one because you fight off against a cat version of the Terminator.
Right.
And it does the music and everything. And I was like, oh, this is great. But then like the other ones afterwards are just like, here's some just like martial artists. Like one of them's literally just like, hey, here's a retired Olympic judoka from Japan. It's like, okay. Huh? Ricardo is just the mariachi guy. It's like, hey, do you remember Desperado?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that movie? Here he is. And then also in the English dub, it's voiced by Goku, but with a Mexican accent.
No way.
Yes, that is 100% true.
That's funny.
Me and my friends learned that when I was playing it for them.
You were playing this game for them?
Yes, I was playing it on Discord for them.
Oh, why?
Look, you gotta let other people see this mess.
Okay, well,
and suffer along with them.
You should have showed them the good ones.
No, we got to do this one.
Ugh. I do like that Ricardo has like the gun in his guitar.
Yeah, that's fun. Like you can transform into a flamethrower, and then at one point it's just a missile pod. I was like, huh? Excuse me.
That's not how guitars work. Where's he
Yeah.
storing that?
Hilda is the next Valentine character, and then just has a very terrible like gameplay mechanic alongside her. That I was like, oh, this seems like a fun character to play. Oh, I don't want to mess with this system at all. Great.
No. So I was real excited about Hilda because it's like, oh, it's the new Valentine. Like we get the Valentine family again. And then I started playing as her, and I got to the system where like is it called like a calorie system? I forget what it's called.
K-Cals.
Okay, K-Cals. So yeah, calorie system. Essentially like her battle system is built on like her weight.
Yes, so you can either have Skinny Hilda, which is like
regular,
probably how she shows up in most of the cutscenes and all that. Curvy Hilda, which implies obviously it's a nicer way to imply probably what they really wanted to say. And
correct.
Then you can also just have her in a bat form.
Which when I was talking to you about this, I made the comparison to Super Princess Peach, where people always say like, "Oh, that game is super sexist because like she uses her emotions," and I make the argument that that is not the case. That she's like using her emotions to be powerful, but like this is actually pretty sexist. Like the whole thing about like dieting culture and women and like their appearance being like the thing that's driving. Nope, 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 no, no. And I'm just like, the Valentines are such cool characters, and then you give me this. Why? Why?
And it also doesn't help that she's kind of just a nothing character outside of that.
Yeah, like literally just unimportant. Doesn't really matter. Like Joachim and Keith are such memorable characters. They're so fun. And like they have a lot to contribute in terms of like the story. She's just kind of there.
Yeah.
Which is weird and annoying. I also don't really like her design. But that's just me.
Your antagonists as well aren't that great. Like you get Lady, who's just stands around all the time and also can just infect with them with malice and people with malice and make them do her bidding and all that sort of stuff. You have the aptly named Killer,
Killer.
who's just a dude, whatever.
Yeah.
Gilbert is just the penguin
Penguin, he really is.
and just kind of does nothing for the most of the game except just wander around with Lady and Killer the whole time. That's
Yeah.
basically it. They're just trying to unleash malice upon the world again. It's like if we've kind of already done this whole song and dance already,
But we did it better.
Yeah. I think that's probably the big problem with this game is that like it is basically kind of just a retread of things that have already happened and it's just hey, we did these better and also like a lot of this game just feels kind of pointless.
Hmm.
Like it's just here for the sake of being here and like just nothing in it is really worthwhile or anything of that nature. Um I think it also doesn't help that the first half of the game has the more interesting dungeons and all that sort of stuff because uh, the first half of this game takes place in a lot of like the U.S. and everything, so you get to go to like just random places like
Area
uh,
51.
Area 51. You barely go to Area 51. It's like you go there for once and then you're never going back there again. It's like that's just a wasted opportunity.
Yep.
Um, for some reason they think Alcatraz is in Chicago and it's just like a walk you walk across the block and you get to Alcatraz. This just isn't the case, but
No,
that's
that's
another
not the case.
dungeon. Chicago's a place you get to hang out with Al Capone.
Mhm.
Normal things, of course.
Very normal.
Buddies with Al Capone. Um, Las Vegas is a place you get to. There's a hotel dungeon and all that sort of stuff. So like I felt like the dungeons in the first half of the game were more varied and everything, and then the second half of the game you're more hanging around in like South America and all that sort of stuff. And then you're going around to all these South American ruins and everything, and a lot of them just kind of look the same, where it's just caves or dimly lit areas or stuff like that. So it's just like you're kind of just going through the same area over and over and over again. It's just like here's a new cave with puzzles you're going to have to go through just to pad out time and everything. And it just really felt like it kind of just ground the momentum of the game to a halt, whatever momentum this game actually had at the time.
Hmm.
Um, and it just none of those latter half dungeons in the game just they didn't feel fun. They were just kind of just there for the sake of being there. It really felt like, which was disappointing.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, the gameplay is basically kind of just the same as the other games. You get the wheel back. I guess the ring, I should say. It does the same stuff. The stock gauge makes it a little bit more different because you can you can do combo attacks, you can do double attacks, and all that sort of stuff. And a lot of the game basically revolves around you preventing bosses from doing that. So it kind of like negates some of the strategy because like a lot of it's just like, all right, just don't let them get stock.
Hmm.
And that's your whole motive for going through these fights and everything. Um, I mean, it's fine, but like at the end of the day, it's just like, eh. It doesn't help, like I said earlier, because Johnny, like I said, doesn't feel like a protagonist, and like he's kind of a bad fighter for like 90% of this game until he unlocks like his special ability at the end, and then he
Hmm.
finally becomes useful. But it's just like, hey, okay, now you're just Darth Vader or Darth Maul. Cool, you got a dual lightsaber. Wow, how fun!
Ooh,
Now you can
and
finally do damage.
I think
Yay!
he becomes taller too, doesn't he?
Yeah, because it's like him
His
older.
real age,
Yeah,
because he's supposed to be 21.
he's
Is
supposed to be
that
like
correct?
16, and then they find out he's like 21 or 24 or something.
I think he's supposed to be 21, but I know he's 16 like in the game.
Yeah,
I forget like what his real age. 21. I just looked it up.
but yeah, he was, God, he just felt useless the entire time. Just like, I'm just along for the ride, and I'm just not really gonna contribute a whole lot. I'm just here. Look at me. I'm Johnny Garland. Don't mess with
Um,
New Yorkers.
it kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy 12. Um, what's his name? Von whatever. He was kind of like a useless protagonist, and like the real protagonist was like her name was Ash. Um, around the same time period actually.
Would this game have been better if they had just ripped off Star Wars like Final Fantasy 12 did?
Um, I don't know because I didn't like Final Fantasy 12.
You mentioned Lenny. Lenny's here as well. He's Johnny's butler essentially, or something,
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature.
Assistant.
Assistant. He helps Johnny with the detective agency and everything. Like
Secretary, maybe?
that's fine, but again, Lenny kind of is just here to exist and be a callback and not do a whole lot else.
Right. Like there's an implication in Covenant that like he survived the fall. Like you find that out. But like there's not a whole lot of explanation on how he got to America or why he's here or like what happened if I don't remember there
Well, like the
being
way
any
they
explanation
describe it is
really.
that he's been working for like the Garland family for like a long time.
I mean, I guess what 1914? Is that is that when the second game is 1914, 1915? And if this is 29,
It's, decade and a half.
yeah. So I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, just a lot of real just kind of missed opportunities to do anything interesting with a lot of these characters. And I think, one thing we talked about when we were discussing this game is that like the tone is very different from the other two games. They definitely try and lean way more into like it being goofier and sillier. And I
Hmm.
don't know if that necessarily works as well, especially when they also try and like ramp up like the dark aspects of it, but it's like not as dark, and it's kind of just like, we're bad guys, ooh, and then here comes Frank,
Ooh.
and he's gonna he's gonna pull a firework out of the ground and put a sheath on it, and like, I got a sword now. Old Frank got a sword. You're like, oh Frank, you little rascal.
You rascal.
So yeah, this game is just weird. I think it makes a lot more sense when you look at it through the lens of like, this was a very rushed game.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That
I
they had
didn't
to
know
get
that.
out, and that's why like everything kind of feels so bizarre, as if they were just kind of just like try and just throw anything together to get it to the finish line and get it out there. Um, but yeah, especially when you just look at it compared to the first two games, it just, man, is a real big disappointment to have the title of Shadow Hearts attached to this game.
Hmm.
And like, even like, I obviously knew from you going into this that like this is not going to be the same thing or anything. This is not going to give you the same like, vibes or feelings or anything of that nature. But even still, it's just kind of like, man, this is just nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I texted you the other day after you beat it, or was it right before you beat it? Anyway, I texted you and was like, yeah, like the characters aren't nearly as like well written or as charming. Like it's not as engaging of a story. Um, like even the villains themselves are just not as interesting. Like think to Covenant and like how you have that really interesting moment with Kato in the cemetery near the end before you fight him, where like they realize they're on like completely different sides on what you do when you lose the love of your life. And they're like, I respect you, but like we don't agree. We gotta take the other one down. And it's like, that was such a cool moment where you have like this actual villain with depth. And it's somebody who like you've followed since the first game and you kind of know what he's going through. Like it's so cool. And then like Nikolai was just a douche and like that was fun.
I mean, he was a douche though, but he was also from the Vatican,
He was from the Vatican
which is
and also
infinitely more interesting.
infinitely more interesting, but he was also like the secret child of Nicholas II, which was also interesting. Um like there was a lot there in terms of like villainy that was good.
Mhm.
And then like even Shadow Hearts, the original one, like you had some really good villains in that one.
Not Roger Bacon.
Not Roger Bacon. That is correct. He is not Roger. I wanted to call him Roger Bacon, but that's not who he is.
No.
Um,
It's like in Metal Gear Solid 2 when Solid Snake says he's Solid Snake, and then Solid Snake shows up and he's like, no, you're not Solid Snake. That's what Roger Bacon should have done.
That's true. But yeah, Albert Simon was
No, you're not Roger Bacon.
the gentleman from the first game. But like those are some really cool villains.
Mhm.
And like I don't remember even like what Lady and Killer's things were. Like,
Lady is okay. So here's the
is
thing.
this is are we spoiling?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. The
It's a
twist of
sister.
this is that Lady is Johnny's sister. They had both died in like a car accident, and then their father took the book from Roger Bacon and
Immigrant manuscript.
was going to revive them and everything. So he goes to do that and everything, and then um, Lady wakes up and basically gives all her good malice, which is will, of course, the blue energy to Johnny, so he can get his personality back. And then she takes all the malice and then loses her personality and memories and all that and just leaves, and then just basically goes on a path of destruction and all that sort of stuff and just never talks and anything.
And she
That's
got her boob out.
yeah, then that's it. So like you have a villain who just like kind of goes around and just does stuff, and then you have no real understanding of her motivations because she doesn't talk or anything, and it's just you have to get things through Killer and Gilbert, who are just like, well, I think she means this and everything. So like you're not 100% sure really, but it's also just like generic. Let's destroy the world. I guess I don't know. Shrug shoulders.
Yeah. And I know that they were kind of going for like, oh, look, they kind of look like Yuri and Alice type thing. It's like, no, they're nothing like those two. Like, this is like the Dollar Tree version. Not even a Dollar Tree. Like, I don't know. This is like if I were to take a crayon and put it on some printer paper and try and cut it out and be like, look, this is Yuri and Alice. People are like, what is that? You can't draw. Get out of here. I don't know why I made that comparison. But like it's not good. It's not good at all. And like I legit do not remember anything good about those villains at all.
That's because there's nothing to remember. They're not
No, no.
memorable. They're not like they don't have
They're
anything
not
interesting
good.
going for them. They are just 2-bit villains that are just here to be villains, and that's it.
Wasn't there a pirate girl at some point?
Yeah, you meet her, and then she captures you, and then you help her stave off some ghosts. And the only thing she's there for is to protect one of the like caves that Shania has to go to get a summon. And then you
Hmm,
never see her again.
that's really upsetting.
That was it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just nothing about this has the charm of the first two games.
No. Um, but don't worry, it's got a good and a bad ending.
Oh, snap.
Where you just get the bad ending if you just finish the game normally, and it's just like, oh, Shania got consumed by the malice she got from Lady. Oh no!
Oh, no.
And then if you get the good ending, you have to do like all of her side quest stuff, get her final fusion, and then level it up all the way. And I was just like, I'm not doing any of that.
Did you watch it on
I
YouTube?
just watched it on YouTube, and the whole thing is just like, oh, she just works with Johnny at the detective agency.
Great.
Great.
Does he turn into his 21-year-old self or is he
No,
still
he's just the same model. It's just the same little guy model.
What happened to his dad?
He died when he was reviving the two of them because Lady kills him.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like, look at me, I'm your dad. And she's like, bleh, get out of my
Bleh.
way.
Okay.
That's it.
I mean, like, if there's one thing that's been consistent in the Shadow Heart series, it is that, hey, the immigrating manuscript doesn't work.
Well, it did this time, but then it just also made bad things happen.
But did it? Because, like,
I mean, Johnny got revived and he was fine. He got his memories back, kind of. Some of his
kind
memories
of.
back.
I mean, like,
It just took him getting stabbed in the heart to fully remember, oh, I can do this other cool form.
right. But also, like, his sister was a sacrifice in the process. So, did it really work?
50-50.
Um, I mean, like, Shadow Hearts 1 had the, like, weird orphanage situation where, like, the guy was trying to revive his mom, I think. And she was just like a blob monster that you had to fight, and it was terrifying. And then obviously there's the whole like Alice plot in Covenant, and like that's still one of the most devastating cutscenes I've ever seen in my life. Is like when that fails, and like he's talking to her, and she's like disintegrating in front of him. He's just like crying, like ugly crying. It is one of the most painful cutscenes I've ever seen, and I still think about it all the time. Man, imagine if there was something like cool like that in this game. But no.
Al Capone's here.
Yeah, I do wonder like if they had had more time, if they could have done more with it. It's like if they had let it simmer a little bit longer.
Maybe, but also like this obviously isn't the same complete team as the original
Right,
games and 2 as well, so like I think that also doesn't help,
right.
but I don't know. I don't know really how much more you could like squeeze out of these characters to like make them interesting at all. Um Also, I will say that I defeated the final boss. There we go. Not just I defeat the final boss.
You defeat.
I beat the final boss by being very underleveled.
Nice.
Um but also the final boss is very disappointing as well because like you have all these weird little freaks throughout the entire game in terms of the monsters and then bosses and all that sort of stuff. And then you get to the final boss and it's just like here's an orb with Lady standing in front of it.
Cool.
And that's it. And it's like okay.
Man, I mean that's one thing I really like about Shadow Hearts 1 and 2 is like you got so many weird little freaks you
There's a
gotta fight
good
all the
solid
time.
collection of little freaks in this game as well. And then you get to the final boss and it's just here's the ball and I was like, what are we doing here?
Do you remember like the Kato fight where he turned into like Susanoo?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, look, it's been a while since I played through those games, so
Well, you had Kato turn into Susanoo, and then like you had the three mutant apes as his like basically sword and shield and all that. It was such a cool idea of like they're still protecting him even though like they're dead. Um, you have them like fighting for him, but then he's like completely lost his human side and has embraced being like a god demon. Like that's so cool. And the design was also cool. And you got to, ball bop it to death. So there's that.
see that's what this game was really missing is that there was no ball bopping.
No ball bop.
Now what if this game had ball bopping?
What if? Would it have been a better game? Probably.
Really could have used
Um,
that.
what happened to Killer? I don't remember.
He dies and then Lady gets very sad and says his name and she gets very sad and takes him further into the gate and then just like gets very sad and angry that you killed him. And then
So
that's
she does have emotions then.
at the very, very, very end.
Does she
um,
call him Killer?
she goes, kill her. That's
So
basically it.
so he didn't even tell her his name?
No, you don't
Or
even learn his name.
or his name is Keller, like my brother.
No, it's
And
killer.
and everybody just misunderstood the whole time. He's like
Maybe, yeah, maybe that's the case.
he's like, no, no, my name's Keller. No, Killer, your name's Killer, of course, because you're a serial killer. No,
Get it?
sure, my name's Killer. It's fine. Um, well then, and Lady dies, right?
Yeah, because you kill her at the end. Or you defeat her
Cool.
at the end. I was very concerned because, like, I got through the big ball and it took a long time, like I said, because I was underleveled and everything. And then it's like, well, you get to fight Lady now, and then she takes away all your, like, your other abilities. So, you can only just standard attack her. And I was like, oh, man. She has, like, 3,000 health. I know that much. I have 3 characters left alive, and I can't revive anyone or heal anyone. What am I going to do? Oh, no. And then it was
Oh
just like,
no.
bonk, and then she dies. And I was like, oh, thank God. Oh boy.
Did you do 3K in one hit?
No, I think it's once you take care of the ball,
Oh, it's just
It basically
plot.
takes, yeah, it just takes like she has like a force field around her essentially.
Mhm.
And like once you take care of the ball, it takes that down, and I think once you have that thing down, you could just bonk her once and she dies no matter what.
Oh, okay.
Presumably, I guess, or else I'm just that good.
Probably that. How'd you know you were under leveled?
I was following a guide, obviously, just to make things much easier on myself, and the guide basically told me, if you are under level 45, go and grind. You cannot do this fight, and I was like, watch
Bet.
me. I was level 43. It just
Bet.
took a very long time. I died once, and it was just a lot of just like getting hit for a bunch of damage, and then just like having to heal, doing a bunch of chip damage and everything. Um,
Who'd you beat it with?
my main team basically by the end of the game was Johnny, Ricardo, Shania, and Natan.
I remember that I always used Ricardo, Shania, and Johnny, but I don't remember who my last one was. It was probably Natan.
Yeah, it was as just who I basically decided to stick with and everything. But yeah,
Well, I know I didn't use Frank, and I
or
most likely
Frank.
didn't use Hilda, so there's not a whole lot of options left.
Yeah. Um.
But yeah, I was going to replay this to
Yes,
see if
we
my
went through a
opinion
whole song and
changed.
dance to try and get PlayStation 2 emulation on Al's computer, and that was a big mess and just a
Huge
real
mess.
big headache. But we got it to work and everything, and then now after this, it's like, hey, what if you just don't replay this? I don't think your mind's going to, your opinion or
Change
anything's
on
going
it.
to change or anything. Yeah, but
Yeah.
what if you see Killer's final form when you fight him for the third time and he's a bug?
What?
He's a bug.
Why is he a bug?
Because he's infected with malice.
So that turns you into a bug?
I don't know.
I don't remember that, but I'm not surprised that I don't remember that. Or there are a few things I don't remember about many, many things. Meow.
That's what the kitty thinks.
I was trying to see if I could find the bug,
I can send you a
but
picture.
send me a picture. His true name is never revealed to the player.
Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah, man, I'm looking at his design. It's not good.
There's a bug for you.
A bug? A bug? Uh, oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay. That is a bug.
that is a bug.
I like that there's like a little man next to him. He's just a little guy.
But yeah,
Um,
that
I'm sad that there wasn't a change of perspective here, but
no, it sure is a video game that exists.
um I will say it's not the most disappointing game of that era for me, but it was pretty damn close.
Yeah,
It
like
didn't
I wouldn't say like this
make me
game is
cry of
like
sadness.
bad or anything. Like it's just very mediocre and kind of just nothing.
And it doesn't live up to the predecessors.
No, I mean like the gameplay and everything's still fine and everything. So like they didn't break it in that aspect. So like it's still fun to play and all that sort of stuff. But just like the story and all that, the things that you come to these games for, just isn't here.
Characters.
Characters, all that,
You do
just
get a
ain't
lot of
here.
booba though.
They sure want you to see some booba. They
Um,
definitely made this game way hornier.
yeah, I don't love that. Um, but yeah, it's no Dirge of Cerberus that made me cry.
I mean, it can't be that bad because it has the Meowminator in it.
The Meowminator.
Chun 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 chun
It's so funny.
chun 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 chun.
What is this?
It's the Meowminator.
The Meowminator.
uh. Hey, if I could take away anything from this game, is that the Meowminator fight was very fun and it made me laugh a lot. That's the one good thing from this video game.
Hell yeah. At least there was something, right?
Yeah, and also the New York theme is very bad and dumb, and I like it.
I don't remember it.
I'll send it to you after the words.
Okay.
But yeah, that's Shadow Hearts from the New World. It is a video game that exists.
Yeah.
A, for,
Hopefully
a,
Penny
for,
Blood's better.
a forgotten RPG from the mid 2000s that probably can just kind of stay forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can forget that one.
Like I said, I like you said, I hope Penny Blood is good.
Yeah.
And isn't this?
I funded it.
You did.
So I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah. We'll find out about that at some point for sure.
At some point.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for us this week. We have Shadow Hearts. We have gone from the New World to the Old World and back again. I don't know. But
the
yeah,
Old World was better.
Yes. If you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalamecheckup.com or sac.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Ann-Ladium, go to annladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can follow us on Blue Sky at seasonalamecheckup.com. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, Hot Tubs, and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a whole wealth of bonus content as well, like our monthly Patreon bonus podcast. You can get it on there. It's there. Go, yay, woo-ha. Next week, it is episode 400.
Wow.
400 episodes of this dang thing.
400.
400. That's so many episodes. So if you've listened to our podcast before, you know we like to do weird things for the big number anniversaries and milestones and all that sort of stuff. So we're probably going to do something like that again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are going to do something like that again. Not probably.
No, it's going to happen.
I'm going to make Al watch random pro wrestling matches, and we'll talk about them.
Hell yeah.
So look forward to that next week.
Hey, what do you think happened to Johnny during the Great Depression?
He died.
Damn.